Are these weapons a suitable reward for bringing peace to Araxis? It depends. And will any of these guns get the rework they deserve? No. You would have better luck asking a Vonu main to stop being a degenerate.
These degenerates are the Vonu sovereignty.
Yeah, didn't see that coming. But after that day, something fundamental changed. Many cried out in anguish upon seeing this newly empowered Red Menace. Heavily armored soldiers loaded for bear were terrorizing the battlefield. More than tactical superiority, the TR had achieved strategic supremacy. If you're someone who doesn't see the Communist Manifesto as a modern-day successor to the fucking Bible, it's a rough time. Things are so bad that even some TR players thought the taste of military-grade leather was getting stale. There simply weren't enough targets to go round. It turns out making unopposed journeys across the continent gets old pretty quickly. Realizing that Planetside was a bit more than Zergfit's racing to make the entire continent unplayable, discussions on how to make the game something other than a Soviet military parade simulator were making the rounds. But this is not that video. Since I'm a desperate conscript, enthusiastic volunteer, I will instead give you several reasons to enlist and fulfill your duty to the Republic. What if you had a repeater covered in the blood of everyone you had to kill to get it, gave it an awesomely ironic name, and got rid of the two things holding it back? The result is the only automatic pistol other than the AMP capable of killing people. But in the wrong hands, strengths can become weaknesses. The President's a fully automatic version of the repeater. Unfortunately, it's 3 rounds lighter than it should be, and the bloom per shot is 0.2 rather than 0.1 when shooting from the hip. Once you get into office, you need to sign a bill giving you a 36-round mag. The hip fire is good enough without a laser, but 18 rounds is barely enough to kill someone if you're accurate. You're also going to need something that can keep those rounds on target, and that's what the compensator's for. Do that, and you have a lethal yet controllable pistol with good staying power. But don't think you don't have to aim and can run around like it's the G18 from Modern Warfare 2. Each bullet is pretty weak, and that 36-round mag will last as long as your paycheck when buying gas. You actually can't afford to miss too much, or you're going to piss away your ammo and any chance of killing someone. My suggested detachment combo will also harm your hipfire and equip time. Not too badly, but enough that you should be a little mindful. Needless to say, the President is vastly superior to the repeater in almost every other TR pistol. Its only real competition in that regard is the T4 AMP, which kills a bit faster but has far less controllability and a smaller mag. Unfortunately, the meta NS pistols render the President a lame duck. The limitations of a weak damage per bullet become pretty apparent when your competition can kill you in 2 headshots or less, while the guy you mag dumped is still breathing because you're outside spitting distance and you missed a few rounds. The President is a fun and effective weapon, but it's not the ultimate authority on Araxis. With nothing but a few upgrades and sheer spite for their biggest ideological rivals, the TR managed to make a sniper rifle with more stopping power than a fucking railgun. Within the maximum damage range, it does 50 more damage than the Rams. That means you can one-shot resist heavies up close, and heavies with any other shield can be one-shotted from further away. The minimum damage remains at 500, which means that it can one-shot anyone without a heavy shield at any range. By virtue of this fact alone, it's also the only bolt-action sniper in the game that's actually realistic, because now no one in the game can survive a sniper rifle shot to the head. The cherry on top of this very high-caliber bullet is that it goes 30 meters per second faster. Landing kill shots will never be easier, and you have 20 more bullets in reserve to spare. Deciding not to say fuck you to logic and practicality has made the Bighorn the best bolt action in the game, except for 3 flaws. The compensator's hipfire penalty means your chances of no-scoping are even closer to 0. Firing will reveal you on the minimap from further away than the Rams, which means you have even less room to practice bad sniper habits. The last issue, and the only one to have any real consequence is the rechamber time being slower. Shots are easier to land but harder to follow up on, so make them count. As far as attachments go, your best pick will either be the extended mag or weighted receiver. Having an extra bullet never hurts, equip time be damned. The receiver makes you more accurate when firing on the move, but you move way slower when aiming. If you're shooting someone who's also moving and shooting back at you, that might be a problem. The flash suppressor is fine if you want it as well, although it's not a make or break either way. In terms of damage and velocity, the Bighorn is the best you'll ever get for long range, but trying to snipe at close range will be much harder thanks to the rechamber penalty, making the Tsar or Daimyo a preferable option for such ranges. Otherwise, the Bighorn pulls its weight as a top-tier weapon for all TR snipers. If you're part of the Republic's elite infiltrator hit squads, then it's no exaggeration to say that business is booming. As long as the TR existed, there would be many enemies who needed to be killed. Problem is, their toolkit was found wanting. The Armistice was good, but followed Republic philosophy to a fault. Users had to choose between accuracy on the move or the badly needed ammo increase. Interestingly, the same can be said about the Punisher, even though the TR never built it. The Hailstorm was a slave to Doctrine too, but while it brought more ammo, it couldn't shoot any of it fast enough. The Jackal's decent on its own, but was in over its head against NC weapons. The MKV and NS7 meanwhile are just terrible. Luckily, the TR found a quick workaround that would improve the ability of their hit squads to give their victims a rapid case of lead poisoning. They took the Armistice, covered it in a living substance that looked suspiciously like human gore, and gave it a built-in extended magazine. Reload times would be slower, but it was a worthy trade-off that could be mitigated with ammo belt. Now that you can reliably kill multiple people with a single mag, the only question is whether you want more bullets to land on target while shooting from the hip, or 10 more bullets to fire at said target. It's not as cut and dry as the President since you have enough ammo for both choices to be compelling, but the Shuriken's appetite for ammo is far greater than the need to improve its already decent hipfire, and giving it more ammo is a better reason to penalize the equip time than reducing the recoil with a grip. The hybrid suppressor is there if you want to be sneaky. The only two downsides involve a 20% velocity penalty, along with realizing that MKV now has no reason to exist. You could also take the compensator if you want to do a better job at hitting people outside spitting distance. With or without a laser, your hipfire would still be pretty decent. After that, you'll need soft point ammo, not just because of the damage range increase, but because it's one of the only ammo types worth using on SMGs. The Shuriken beats every other SMG on the TR, and all they had to do was give it more ammo. Simple, yet effective. Well done. Alright people, story time. At some point during the war, the DMR-99 was put out of production to be replaced by the 99SV, or a sniper variant of the DMR. Most of the Republic's marksmen made the switch, but there were stubborn holdouts that kept using the DMR. Until recently, we were supposed to believe that a few sharpshooters were so retarded that they would skip a weapon with better performance at range because of nostalgia. Thanks to the Arsenal update, we now know that wasn't the case. See, long ago the TR was busy doing something called fighting a war. They weren't concerned with such childish things like making sure their military equipment was fair to fight against. They sure as hell didn't care if the explosive ammunition given to the DMR unintentionally allowed it to be the most lethal semi-automatic rifle on the planet. Above all else, this was the reason for its continued use over its replacement. But there were other reasons. Unlike the AMR-66, the DMR has a 25-round mag along with a built-in compensator and grip that didn't penalize equip time. With or without ammo belt, the reload time is a bit slower, but hardly enough to matter when you're at medium to long range with a generous magazine size. The DMR can equip another compensator. Apart from all the other incentives for giving a battle rifle the compensator, it helps that it's the only barrel attachment worth using. The rail attachments aren't so simple though, largely because they kinda suck. The weighted receiver effectively prevents you from strafing, even if you're more accurate while doing so. The comfort grip brings a rather uncomfortable increase in vertical recoil, considering how little horizontal recoil there is and how unimportant swap times are when you're far away. The cost-benefit analysis doesn't look so good. The laser is the only unambiguously good attachment, even if you shouldn't be hip-firing, making it easier to do so never hurts. Pre-patch explosive ammo is mandatory for improving your damage per shot along with giving you splash damage. Post-patch I actually don't know how good or bad it is because I'm a console peasant. The heavy mag is a good option because you can have 30 rounds. The hip fire penalty doesn't really matter here. Soft point ammo is only going to reduce your bullet velocity because the shots to kill won't change at any distance, so needless to say, don't use it. You know, now I'm actually wondering why they even bothered making that ammo type an option. Comparing the DMR and AMR will be a bit interesting. The AMR can potentially hold 30 rounds without suffering hipfire and reload speed penalties, use a compensator, and has the superior option of running high velocity ammo. You could skip the extended magazine and use the underbarrel launchers instead, but you have almost no reason to actually do this. Meanwhile, the DMR starts off with more ammo and accuracy. The benefits of another compensator and rail slot make it a far more accurate and flexible rifle. That's basically the name of the game for the DMR at this point, and it plays that game pretty well. It might trade away high velocity ammo, but you're only sacrificing bullet velocity. The shelf life of the DMR has been extended, but the Dragoon and Vandal offer fresher options from afar and up close respectively. More importantly, however, the DMR does nothing that an actual sniper, like the 99SV, can't already do better. Take off the rose-tinted glasses. If your playstyle revolves around you sucking cock, then you may want to tune in. The Havoc features an extra 3 meter maximum damage range and a 10-round magazine. The reload's going to be slower, and the vertical recoil is going to be harsher, so take ammo belt and pull down. Being an automatic shotgun and all, you would think using extended mag would be the best option, and you'd be right. But the other attachments have a purpose too. If the equip time penalty from extended mags rubs you the wrong way, you can run the comfort grip instead and reduce your swap times. Sure, you'll have to pull down even more to compensate for the vertical recoil, but you can rapidly switch if you haven't mastered CQC bolting with your archer. Yes, I said the archer because the dagger is hot garbage and nobody would use it. Using some form of black magic, the MPL makes recoil non-existent when firing from the hip. How it works is unclear, but by God does it work. Being fully automatic generates a lot of recoil which can throw your shots off target, so the MPL is far more important than it looks. A smart choke will tighten the pellet spread as long as you ADS, but widen it if you hip fire. How an attachment designed for tightening pellet spread ends up doing the exact opposite if you hip fire is unclear, but just make sure that you aim when outside of point blank range. As long as you do that, the choke might pay off. As far as ammo is concerned, you should stick with buckshot. I guess the slugs would be okay if you're good enough, but even then I would advise against it. The flechette rounds are even worse. If it wasn't immediately obvious that removing an entire pellet would scuff your damage output, Emperor Dwarf did some number crunching and literally confirmed that they only reduce your damage at all ranges. But putting that aside, you would have to have the brain damage of your average communist if you think even half of your pellets are going to land at ranges where flechettes would theoretically shine. Right off the bat, we know the barrage is obsolete. Even without attachments, the Havoc is better in pretty much every way. The same can be said about the Haymaker. The Haymaker has more ammo than the barrage, but sacrifices damage range and reload speed to get this. Thankfully, the Havoc looked at such trade-offs and decided they were fucking stupid. The Havoc reloads a bit slower than the barrage, but faster than the Haymaker, has a better damage range than both, and has the Haymaker's capacity. 2 birds, 1 stone. But against its more meta counterparts, the Havoc starts looking quite tame. Let's compare it to the Skillhawk. Does the Havoc do more damage up close?
No.
Does it shoot faster?
No.
The Havoc might reload faster and have more ammo, but lethality comes first. It also goes without saying that the pump actions remain the best options. Nothing beats killing fully shielded heavies in one shot. The Havoc's got bite and more than it's ever had, but it's not top dog. Despite claims that it's not officially sanctioned for use, the TR allowed for additional modifications to the TRAC-SHOT. This was a smart idea on their part. It features a built-in laser and impulse launcher, but comes at the cost of bullet velocity compared to the TRAC-5. All the rail attachments are going to penalize your equip time, so you might as well choose one that'll be worth such a penalty. My money goes toward the grip because it reduces the horizontal kick. Now, between not knowing how to use the impulse launcher, not wanting the smoke launcher to kill my frames, and the RNG gods teaming up with the Antichrist to ruin the shotgun, I might seem a bit biased. But that doesn't mean my dear viewers can't find a use for said attachments. The barrel attachments are where things get interesting. It's largely going to depend upon whether you want to hip fire, be sneaky, or be accurate from further away. What you want out of the TRAC-SHOT will influence your opinion. The short barrel will turn it into a hip fire machine, but the recoil penalty is going to bring an inconvenient loss of accuracy. When paired with a grip, the compensator is going to make the TRAC-SHOT a very accurate carbine, but it's going to reduce your mileage in close quarters by penalizing your hip fire. As for the heavy barrel, reducing your bloom while aiming can be useful. but so is moving at full speed. Choose carefully. Lastly, the ammo attachment will always boil down to soft point or high velocity ammo. I will always take soft point despite the velocity penalty because your damage up close will be improved. High velocity ammo is only there to make the suppressor suck a bit less, or if you want to make a long range accuracy build. The TRAC-SHOT is clearly a direct upgrade over the TRAC-5 thanks to its built-in laser and the potential for more attachments. But although the TRAC-SHOT can potentially be more accurate and maintain respectable hip fire, the Jaguar, Lynx, and Kindred still have it beat in terms of overall effectiveness. Even when doing everything right, the TRAC-SHOT will still come up short against the best carbines on the TR. The shinier version of the Cycler has created unity among TR soldiers when deciding which assault rifle is better. Featuring a built-in grip and cure launcher, the Unity is a more accurate and versatile weapon than its default counterpart. Unfortunately, the equip time is going to be slower, which is bad news if you see the medic as anything more than a medium assault. As far as rail slots go, you can keep the cure launcher to heal people from further away while removing negative debuffs. Whether going solo or coordinated, that can actually be very useful. If you're not a heal slut, the grip's there if you want to make the Unity even more accurate, or you can choose a laser and make your hip fire better. Those were your three best options. The angled grip's not worth it. There isn't much vertical recoil to get rid of in the first place, but you're gonna feel 10% more horizontal kick. That's far too much to ask for one bullet being more accurate. As for the incendiary launcher, if you have a steady supply of ammo, patience, and stationary enemies in tight spaces, you might get a kill. It's clearly a gimmick. As for barrel attachments, the short barrel will do wonders for your hip fire, but be prepared to endure more vertical kick. The heavy barrel can reduce the bloom and improve accuracy long distance, but only if the significant movement penalty doesn't get you killed first. You could also run the flash suppressor, or nothing at all. Your choice. In combination with your rail attachment of choice, you make the Unity more adaptable or specialized for certain builds. As far as ammo goes, soft point is always a safe bet and a good choice. High velocity ammo can work in ranged builds, but the maximum damage range penalty would leave a bad taste in my mouth. The heavy magazine, meanwhile, leaves much to be desired. A 45 round mag isn't bad, but it's hardly worth a 20% hipfire penalty. I'd understand if you got 50 rounds, but 45 isn't enough to immediately justify everything it'll cost you. Perhaps you can run it if you have the laser and short barrel, or you plan on fighting at ranges where hipfire is not a concern. Otherwise, I'd steer clear. As mentioned before, the Unity is an upgraded cycler. It has more attachment options, utility, and accuracy. Despite the equip time penalties, this makes it a viable pick for medics if they're not using the Punisher. But while it takes the edge in overall recoil reductions and potential magazine size, it won't dethrone the Cycler TRV, Torque 9, and TAR in close quarters. Just like the TRAC-SHOT, the Unity's only sin is coming up short against the best of the best. Well everyone, the moment you've been waiting for. How has the Republic's favorite farming tool for heavies been treated as of late? The Carv's blood-soaked brother shoots 19 rounds per minute faster and has 50 more bullets per drum. That comes at the cost of an equip time penalty half a second long and your bullets going 30 meters per second slower. The higher fire rate also means more kick, and you have less options to control it. You're basically trading accuracy and handling for more firepower, an exchange every TR player would make in a heartbeat. Now, there's only two rail attachments worth buying, with one clearly being better than the other. A 300 round drum means fuck all when the average TR soldier can't aim for shit. TR soldiers prefer overwhelming suppressing fire, and while a 300 round drum would be nice for that, a 150 round drum does that just fine. But if you happen to be an above average machine gunner going up against below average infantrymen on the wrong side of a death funnel, 300 rounds can allow for a stellar career in agriculture. That is, if the swap time penalty doesn't bring said career to a frustrating end first. The angled forward grip will just give you more horizontal recoil, and honestly I don't know what's dumber, the fact that it does that or the fact that it was put on a weapon notorious for that type of recoil. What's even more insulting is that the first bullet losing most of its vertical kick was considered enough to justify this trade-off. Spoiler alert, it's not. That leaves the laser, and it needs no explanation. With how close you're going to be when using the Butcher, your hip fire better be on point. It would be great if the grip was an option, and honestly there isn't really a good reason why the devs removed it. Maybe they were just trying to make sure the Directive weapons were side grades to the default guns, but that ship sailed a long time ago. You're just gonna have to make do. The only barrel attachment is the heavy barrel. The Butcher's designed for sustained fire, so you're probably not going to be too happy to realize that you can't do that because of a mechanic called bloom per shot. But the heavy barrel's going to solve that problem for you, right? Wouldn't you want some way to control a weapon that took you weeks to unlock? Well, my trigger discipline lacking communist, the heavy barrel's a trap. The heavy shield already slows you down enough, and the heavy barrel gives you a 20% movement penalty while aiming. If you do that in a game with a movement meta,
You might as well kill yourself now!
technically you could try using Sidewinder or mobility mesh implants to compensate, but I'd rather not be a pathetic cunt. The point is, as much as the TR might consider it heresy, you're just gonna have to learn how to burst. Unleash your DACA more efficiently to get that cone of fire bloom under control. Having access to the compensator would have been nice right about now, though. As far as ammo goes, it's a toss-up. High-velocity ammo can allow for admittedly better performance at range, but the max damage range reduction is far from ideal. Soft point ammo is usually good for doing the exact opposite, but don't plan on fighting anyone at mid-range. And as you probably know by now, just do not ever use K-Cap. It's one of the worst ammo attachments in the game. The Butcher presents TR heavies with great opportunities, but unlocking its full potential will take a little practice. It'll be time well spent. So as we can see, the TR got a massive steroid injection, and I can't blame you if you want yours too. The Uraxian Weather Channel is predicting cloudy with a chance of bullets, and it's going to be that way for quite a while. If these directive weapons don't present decent alternatives to the meta, they are the meta. I'm waiting for the NC and VS guns to be fixed, but I also have plans to review the NSO guns too. Let me know how I did on this video, so that I can make the next ones even better. Until next time everyone, take care.